Hey guys, it's Melody Fletcher with another little nugget of inspiration for you. So, I get a lot of questions from people. And one of the big sort of things that this work does for people is it helps them understand why something happened, why the things that have happened to them have happened. And that is so powerful. And I've got a story today for you that's going to illustrate this point. Because I get a lot of emails from people kind of saying, why did this happen to me, Melody? And it's a little bit more than I can provide in an email answer or even a YouTube answer or a blog post answer, because it takes a little bit of work to kind of figure out exactly what happened, but it isn't really that hard once you know how. If I have a conversation with somebody, I can figure it out very quickly for them. Yeah. And so I had a coaching call with a lovely client named Kelly, and she had been single for a long time. And she was wondering what the hell was going on, because she's been doing this work and she's been doing it faithfully and she's been doing it well. And she was kind of wondering what's going on. So I read her energy, and it turned out that it wasn't that she had a blockage against a relationship at all. What came out, which would have been a great answer too. It's like, oh, here's the blockage. Now you can do something about it. But in her case, that wasn't the case. And I find that this is the case for a lot of light workers, not all of them. It may not be the case for you, but it is the case for a lot of light workers that I include myself in this, often have long stretches of singledom. Even though there's nothing, we're not sort of blocking love from coming in necessarily. Yeah, we might have gotten rid of all those, and yet the guys still aren't showing up, or the ladies still aren't showing up. You kind of wonder why that is. And I know I've gone through stretches in my life where I absolutely have had no relationships. And if I was really honest with myself, didn't really have all that much interest in a relationship at the time. But then you have societal pressures, like you should have a boyfriend or you should have a girlfriend. Is there something wrong with you if you're not in a relationship? And so what we discovered for Kelly was that the reason why she'd been single for so long was because she was going through a massive growth period. And having a relationship during that time would have distracted her. Yeah. And so I saw a parallel in my own life, because I asked that question once, it's like, why have I been single for so long? And the answer that I got at the time was because you would not have done this work if you'd had a relationship. And I got to say, this is not the case anymore, but there was absolutely a case, and it was the case at one point in my life. And I can see this in hindsight very, very clearly, that if I had had a relationship, if I had a boyfriend or husband, like a serious relationship, I would have deferred to that relationship. I would have catered to that relationship. I would not have dedicated myself and thrown myself into this work in the same way. So it would have been a bit of a distraction. And ultimately, because I love where I ended up, I can't really be mad about any of that time. Yeah. And the way I see it is I avoided dating a lot of losers that would not have been a match to who I was becoming. They would have been a match to who I was then. And I got to say, I wouldn't have wanted to date me at that time. Yeah. So no judgment against the losers, but that's exactly who I would have attracted at that point. And so I kind of avoided that. Yeah. I heard someone say once, who was single, and somebody asked them, like, why aren't you married yet? And she goes, well, I've avoided my first divorce. I like that. So basically, if you've been single for a long time, this might be relevant to you. If you have been missing something for a long time in your life and you feel like you've cleaned it all up, there may be another reason why you haven't gotten it yet. And the really big thing, the really big point that I wanted to make in this video is that Kelly got a tremendous amount of relief from understanding what was happening in her life. And the thing is, if you're sitting there kind of going, well, how does she know that's true? When you hear your truth, it resonates with you. You can tell. It feels absolutely right. There's a visceral resonance there. So I wasn't asking her to just accept this theory. Yeah, it is something I read in her energy field and I gave back to her, and it made absolute total sense for her. And I love watching that when somebody sort of gets a piece of clarity, and I get to be the one that provides that. And then they start to see all the dominoes, fall into place. Like, oh, that's why that happened. Oh, that's what, and now I see why this is happening. And I got to tell you, there is such power in that and such relief in that, in recognizing why things happen to you. Yeah, because you really start to understand that this is not all random. Random things do not just happen to you. There's a reason for everything. It may not be a reason that you yet know or understand, but there is a reason. And when you do get it, it makes perfect freaking sense. And that's, one of the big reasons that I love this is because I get to be often the person that provides that clarity for people, that clarity comes through. They're manifesting their clarity, but they sometimes manifest it through me. And I adore that, because then I get to watch that process happening and that clarity start to hit on layer and layer and layer after layer after layer, and their whole lives start to make sense to them. And I know how powerful that was for me, and I know how powerful it is for my clients, and I would love it if it was the case that it was also as powerful for you. And I'd love to give you a chance to experience that. And in order to do that, I want you to come to my webinar this week. I am holding 2 sessions. They're both live. It is not a replay. Yeah, they're both live at 2 different times. So no matter what time zone you're in, you're going to be able to choose one. And I want you to actually show up. So if you've already subscribed, if you've already registered for the webinar, great. Make sure that you actually show up. And if you haven't signed up yet, then please click the link below, choose a time and show up. We're going to have amazing teaching. I've titled the webinar, The Secret That the Secret Didn't Tell You, because that annoys the crap out of me when people say they're going to give it to you and then they don't. And it's really not a secret. It's a technology. Yeah, but here I'm going to teach you exactly how to successfully and deliberately and consistently manifest your reality, even if you have read every single book and tried every exercise and it hasn't really worked for you. Yeah, that just means you didn't have all the details. You didn't have the right manual, and I want to give you the manual. So show up to the webinar. I'm also going to have a very special gift for you, and I'm going to give you a chance to find out how you can work with me directly, which is something that you can't really do because my coaching practice has been closed for 2 years. I don't take on private clients anymore, so you can't really get on the phone with me, but I'm going to give you a chance to find out how you can. I think it's going to be super exciting. So make sure you show up to that webinar. Oh my God, I'm so excited. And I know I'm like, bombarding you here with this, but I am so passionate about this because I have seen so many lives change. I've just given you a couple of my stories, and hopefully it's been enough to inspire you to go, oh my God, I think there might be something to this. Let me find out a little bit more about it. Let me actually show up to the webinar and get some teaching. The webinar, by the way, is totally free. You don't have to pay anything, but you have to pay with a little bit of time. Just show up and listen, participate, get some teaching. I'll also give you a chance to ask me a question before you even get on the webinar. So there's a chance I might answer your question. I'm definitely going to read them all. I'm going to answer as many as I can. So if I haven't said it already, show up or sign up and show up. I cannot wait to see you there. Until then, swishy, swishy, swishy hugs. Yay!